What's up, guys, and welcome back to the Bartender Hideout. Today we are going to be looking at episode number 13, which is going to be the Moscow Mule. This is a pretty famous one as well, or at least a pretty well-known one here in the bar. We will be looking at the list, as you guys know, for the cocktail countdown of the top 50 most popular drinks according to Drinks International. And we will be first looking at the history for a little bit. Afterwards, I'll be making this drink for you guys, which will be super quick with this one. And finally, I'll be tasting it and telling you guys what I think of it. But first, let's dive into the history. So the Moscow Mule was actually, it kind of had its birth in Manhattan, where at first it didn't really pick up. Not until the 1940s or 1941 actually, to be precise, where two friends, Jack Morgan and John Martin, were sat at a table together, basically had like a meeting. And Jack Morgan, he was the owner of the Cock and Bull Saloon, and he ended up wanting to release his own brand of ginger beer. And John Martin happened to be the marketing, or he had the rights for marketing on Smirnoff. And he decided that would be, or they both decided really, that maybe mixing those two things together could actually lift them up as a business. They ended up adding some lime to the mix, and as some people might know, the Moscow Mule comes in this really distinctive cup. I actually have one here. So one of these bad boys. The thing apparently is that the girlfriend of John Martin worked in a copper factory. If they were making mugs there or not, I don't know. But he pulled his strings to make sure that they started making mugs there. And supposedly that's the story, at least. What he ended up doing afterwards to make Moscow Mules as popular as it is now is he went around with a Polaroid camera at that time, went from bar to bar, and let all the bartenders there pose with one of these cups. And what he did is he gave one photo to the bar, and he took one himself to go to the next bar. And there he kind of repeated the trick. So everyone thought that the previous bars were more popular, and they wanted to serve this drink as well. So it's a cool story of marketing in that way, I guess. There is another story, though. There's, I think, a little bit more of a grim side to the story, maybe, if it's true. It's a 2007 story from the Wall Street Journal. It's about a bartender called Wes Price. He used to work at the Cock and Bull Saloon, and he supposedly came up with the idea of the Moscow Mule. He ended up having to clear his basement, which was at that point packed with ginger beer and vodka. So he ended up trying out a cocktail with that, which turned out to be the Moscow Mule, or supposedly it did, at least. So they didn't quite leave on good terms there. One of the things of the legacy of the Moscow Mule is that they have a whole category now, basically. There's about 22 different kinds of mules, where a mule in this case is mainly ginger beer with lime and then a different spirit or something else that they add to it. So there's definitely a lot of popular ones. I'll make sure they pop up on my screen here as well, just so you can have a look at them. Besides from that, I think that's all for the history for now. Let's go and make this drink. Welcome to probably the quickest cocktail creation in the whole cocktail countdown. This is going to be a fast one. This is going to be just a build cocktail, so we're just going to put all the ingredients in our metal cup, in this case, or in a copper cup, and that's it. That's all we have to do with it. So we'll start off with adding our vodka. As you guys might have seen before, I will be using Aristov vodka again. We'll be using 2 ounces or 60 milliliters of our vodka. Then I have some freshly squeezed lime juice again. This is about 20 mils or 3/4 of an ounce. We'll add that as well. And then lastly, as you've seen in the history part, we have our ginger beer. This is not the Cock and Bull ginger beer. I don't know if that still exists. It's probably floating around there somewhere. But I have my Fever Tree ginger beer here, so we'll end up using that. And I'm gonna end up using the whole bottle. And then that is all our ingredients in there. Only thing we have to do is add our crushed ice. We'll add our crushed ice and add a straw. And then finally, as a last touch, we'll be again going back to our trusty dehydrated limes. And there we go. That's our Moscow Mule. Super easy, super quick, but still a really nice cocktail. Okay, so as for tasting this one, you wouldn't expect it, but there's a lot of ginger in there. It really got that spiciness of the ginger that I personally I do like. I also know a couple of people that don't really go for ginger beer. I think with the vodka in it and also the crushed ice really helps. If you don't like the ginger beer or if it's too spicy for you in the beginning, definitely make sure to let it sit for a little bit. So it, for one, it cools down nicely, and two, it dilutes a little bit, so the flavors mellow out a little bit as well. So if you're like not a huge fan of ginger beer and you want to kind of go around that, that's one way to do it. But yeah, apart from that, as I said, I think it's a pretty good cocktail in its own regards. Especially there's the reason why there is 22 different kinds of this cocktail. I mean, if it was, I don't think they would be replicating it so much. But yeah, so that's the Moscow Mule for you guys. Thank you for joining in for this episode. We're happy that you guys are still sticking around for us. Make sure to drop something in the comments, leave a subscription, and also leave a like for us. And yeah, I guess I'll see you guys next week. Ciao.